Hello everyone, my name is FlareBlitzed and welcome back to Missing Time. If you've been following through this series from 1 to 7 I believe it is now, then in the last time you would have seen that we acquired Emiri's good ending. And my gosh, I was in tears. But that's not what we're here for today. We're going to be doing the reverse of what I would normally do. And that is to speak about Shizeo's thoughts rather than comfort Emiri in her time of need. Perhaps this is my chance to bridge the sisters together. It is obvious both Emiri and Shizeo suffer from the lack of closure. If I can just get Emiri to see it the way Shizeo does, then maybe they'll have a chance yet. It's funny, Shizeo said something similar. Did she? Yeah. She said it's difficult being around you because your presence is so great. She feels shadowed by you in the burden of the Onishi name. She speaks to you, then? Feeling rather uncomfortable at the piercing look Emiri has given me, I duck my head. There's nowhere to hide in this restaurant. Well, we do hang out with Ember, of course. But if I catch Shizeo in one of those moods, she tends to tell me stuff. Are you curious about her upbringing? How should I answer this? I feel like I've been intruding enough on their personal affairs, but I can't deny, but I am curious. Emiri gives me a long, calculating stare. Not for the first time today, but this one does feel a little bit more ominous. Not for the first time today, chills creep down my back and settle in the deep of my stomach. I swallow dryly, but unable to look away. If you are close to Shizeo, you must know that her birth wasn't planned. Yikes, Emiri. The Onishi has always ever produced an only heir to avoid dilution of the bloodline in our blessed powers. There is a glaze over Emiri's eyes, cold and vindictive. Shizeo's arrival was complicated, as it almost took our mother's life. The following months there were fears surrounding her. Would the power be split between the two of us? Must the two of us stay together to perform our duties? Would either one of us weaken the bloodline? Perhaps you are familiar with the common myth, as your grandfather after all once worked for our shrine. However, to help you understand the severity of the situation, I must give you a brief history of our clan and this town, and why the Onishi is so respected. It is believed that this town was built upon a sacred vein, an intersection between this world and another. That gives us some answers towards the origins of the curse itself. I mean, why would a curse be within this world to begin with anyways? The people were blessed with peace and prosperity once settled here, but all gifts come with a price. The very air around us seems to drop several degrees at her chain of tone. It is said that under the mountain a demon was sealed. It envied the peaceful life townsfolk had over the decades. The envy and hatred seeped through the bars of its prison, manifesting in the form of a curse. That curse would latch onto human hosts, drive them to commit atrocities, to disrupt peace and sow the seeds of fear into people's minds. Emiri pauses, taking a slow sip of tea. For decades, this curse wreaked havoc across town. Or wreaked. Many were driven away, some perished, for once prosperous grounds was becoming barren. Until a travelling priest passed by, he pitied the people, and decided to help them rid of this curse. Many battles took place as the priest tracked down the cursed hosts, and yet kill after kill. He was disheartened to find as a host died, the curse would simply move on to another. The curse could not be eliminated. It can only be contained and neutralized. So the priest decided to stay. Upon the demon's prison he built a shrine to keep watch over the curse. And is that the same shrine that we're also used to now in this game? And to this day his descendants are still vigilant. As time passed, we, the Onishi, found a way to contain the curse, to prevent it from jumping into a human host. Well, unfortunately, Emiri, it seems like somebody has broken in to this gated place and set loose the demon itself, or at least the host's manifestations. It is our life oath to be its warden, to make sure it cannot harm another soul. Emiri takes another sip of tea. What does Shizeo have to do with what does Shizeo have anything to do with this? I suppress a sliver at the look Emiri gives me. Languidly, she picks up a scone, inspects it but doesn't bite into it. Shizeo was born without powers, someone who bears the ownership name that has no use to serve the clan. It is unheard of. For a time the family had no idea what to do with her, so you put her down as one of the experiments. But also from that, the family decided that rather than using Emiri's life force, they use Shizeo's life force when Emiri uses her magic. Something dark and horrible crawls into my thoughts. What did you do to Shizeo? Oh dear. Remember, Flare, Shizeo has a reckless streak, especially when it comes to things she wants but cannot have. Standing up, Emiri holds her head high. If Emiri was distant before, now it feels like she is looking down at me from a mountaintop. Dignified and cold, she tips her head at me, lips pass into a harsh line. Have a good day, Flare. Indeed. I sit, frozen in place, watching as Emiri walks away. I still cannot move, even as Emiri disappears. It's almost like we've been encased in ice. I cannot tell if it's the chills of the late afternoon or the information given to me that raises a taunt of endless goosebumps on my skin. The words keep looping over and over in my head, making me lose track of time. And I would have sat there until one of the waiters kicked me out if my phone didn't buzz. Shaking, I stared at the screen, as if I was in a dream. Shizeo? What on earth? Oh, we're having this dinner again, aren't we? For goodness sakes. Well, looks like we're going to have to transpire until something else approaches. I guess, do you think we should visit Shizeo? I don't exactly have an answer for that. I don't know if Emiri and Shizeo have talked at all about their problems since. Either way, I don't want to intrude. That issue aside, I don't know what the status between me and Emiri is either, even after that date. Nothing official was discussed, and I know public appearance is incredibly important to Emiri. I don't know if I'm ready to dive into that yet. Which is why I'm so surprised when I received a text from Emiri that evening. Come have dinner at the shrine tomorrow, I'd like to have a word with you. That doesn't sound good at all. Not at all. It's too formal. Maybe Emiri is mad at me? But it's Emiri. Her asking me out on a date was like sending me to a principal's office. Yep, it's difficult enough to speak to her face to face, so it's not fair to assume what she might feel based on a text alone. Exactly. I sense another trap. That isn't to say that I'm not nervous when I arrive at a shrine the next day. I mean, how do you even dress to go for a dinner at a shrine of all places? I cleaned up as best as I could. Neat shirt and trousers and combed back hair. Need to say I don't want to make a bad appearance. Climb the stone steps. I see Shizeo sweeping away fallen leaves in the courtyard. While still pale, she doesn't look like she's going to vomit anytime soon. So that's a good sign. Hey Shizeo! Flare, you're early! Scratching the back of my neck, I offer a sheepish smile. Yeah, I don't want to make anyone wait. Of course you don't. Here, follow me. But rather than leading us to the shrine, we're now out in the wilderness. Probably something even worse than the good ending setup is going to take place. Instead of leading me to the back house like I thought she would, Shizeo brings me out through the back door. I thought we were going to have dinner. Yeah, but Emma usually gets carried away with her duties. It's better to go fetch her now instead of sitting at the house. So she usually performs her duties in the forest. Shizeo gives me a weird look before laughing. Ha! No, silly, she usually performs her everyday duties at the shrine, but today is special. Today is cleansing day, a day of offering. Emiri goes around the mountains and pays tributes to the gods for the town's protection. Spiritually, that is. This is a bit too important of a day to have dinner guests around, it sounds like. Au contraire, my friend. Today is the best day to have dinner guests around. I can't trust you at this point in time, Shizeo. Especially when your good end is locked. See? Since we have so many offerings from the day, it's impossible to finish off everything in one night. So we always have way too much left over, even with all the workers in the shrine. So I got invited over to finish up food. Gotcha. Shizeo makes a finger gun motion at me. Lovely. Boom! Just like a gun goes. It's a bit of a surprise though, since Emiri usually would rather be stuck with leftovers than having someone over to help. I guess she really is taken with you. What do you mean with me? Her teasing comment got my cheeks heated up a bit. Scratching the back of my head, I make a face at Shizeo, but can't seem to find an apt response to that. That was her laughing, and making me blushing even redder. Relax, lover boy. You're not going to be able to deal with Emmy all tongue-tied like that. Goodness sakes. Not sure if it's Emily I'm worried about dealing with. My. Maybe having you around a bit more wouldn't be so dull after all. I think that's going to be foreshadowing. Thankfully, Shizeo stops her teasing the rest of the way, which is good considering we have to climb down the mountains on the other side. It's a whole damn trek, and it's a bit embarrassing how quickly I run out of breath. Shizeo doesn't seem to have the same problem though, nimbly hopping down the well-worn path. She's done this a lot before, hasn't she? She did spend her whole life here after all. She must be pretty used to this. I find it a bit odd that they decide to go all the way here for the feast though. If I was finding our little journey a bit strange, then now I'm downright anxious, looking at the open mouth of a cave eating into the side of the mountain. What's worse, Shizeo seems to be heading straight towards it. Shizeo, are we going in there? That's where the last ritual ground is, and we should be in there. I don't exactly have a great feeling about this. To be fair, my parting with Emily after our date wasn't exactly the best, and as demonstrated before, Emily can have quite the temper sometimes. I hope this isn't a ploy to get me somewhere desolate to offer me up to the gods or something. You have no idea what's coming, friend. My hesitation to follow has definitely drawn Shizeo's attention, however. What? Are you scared? When you put it that way, a bit, yeah. Uh-oh, did you upset Emily or something? What did you do? Tell me. I don't trust you with that face. It's almost like you're taking joy in our misery, Shizeo. I don't think this is the best time for gossip. Ah, sport. Yeah, you can make that face all you want, but I'm not going to spill the beans, okay? Or spill blood. Well, I can get it. I get it if you don't want to come in. Emily can be pretty scary when she's angry. I won't hold it against you. Mostly to myself rather than Shizeo. Emily won't do anything bad to me in front of her own sister. Right? One way to find out. Let's just go. Alright. Despite having put on a brave face, I'm still quite nervous, trailing after Shizeo's skipping steps inside the cave. My, doesn't this cave feel ethereal? It isn't as bad as I thought it would be. Sure, the rocky cave floor and the jagged stones all around might be a bit distorting, but the entrance is wide enough to let plenty of light in, and I have a perfect view of the river behind Komachi from here. It's not enough to illuminate the entire space, however. If I squint, I could just make out an iron door built into the very back of a cave. That's not terrifying at all. Where's Emiri? Shizeo's gestures at the door, with finger guns blazing. In there, doing Emiri stuff. Should we go get her? Yeah, just go knock on the door. We won't be disturbing her, won't we? If she's still busy, she just won't open the door. Besides, since you're a guest, she won't yell at you. Unlike with me. That doesn't bode well. Giving Shizeo a look, before cautiously and slowly walking towards the door, adrenaline surges all over my body. In many of these endings, there's been one common factor, and that is, we were somehow lured into Shizeo's trap. Something just doesn't feel right. I let out a yelp as something on the floor trips me. Stumbling, my elbow crashes painfully against the ground. Sprinting tears to my eyes. Blinking through the shock, I felt my heart stop as I find myself face to face with Emiri, bound and unconscious on the floor. Emiri? The noise and bump jostle her from her unconsciousness, as Emiri blinks at my groggily. Flare? Scrambling to her side, I throw a bewildered glare at Shizeo, who has been watching us placidly. Shizeo, what the hell? This is getting good already. For goodness sakes, this is a trap. And because we don't have that emotional tie with Emiri, I don't think we're gonna get saved. At once, the room spirals out of existence, overtaken by dizzying darkness and seething blue fire. Just like last time. And a transformation has happened upon our wonderful character Shizeo. You were like this at the Ember / Shizeo bad end. But this time, you're not angry, you're smiling. I should have been more afraid. I really should have. My heart is beating so fast it might just break out of my ribcage. I almost jumped out of my skin when my eyes land on Shizeo. Marks, bruised and pulsing, climbed like cracked veins in her body. Her darkened hands are claw-like, and her eyes are seething in an unearthly glow. Ladies and gentlemen, Shizeo is a Terminator. What has become of Shizeo? Shizeo, what's the meaning of this? With a grin that splits her face into two, Shizeo slithers over, throwing an arm around my shoulders. Great. Isn't that just a sight that we want to see, for goodness sakes? Like, literally. You know what, Shizeo? I'm so used to you just trying to kill us, but I'm not even phased out by your evil presence. But you do have the curse deep within you. I don't know, you tell me. Pushing herself up, Emiri scowls at us as she distances from Shizeo. Enough with the game, Shizeo. Say your piece, then stop this at once. Aw, Emiri, you wound me. Is that the way you should talk to your sister? I am not wasting my time here. Moving her arms in an arc around herself, Emiri mumbles a string of sharp words under her breath. A bow made of blinding light appears in her hands. 3 arrows materialize and Emiri shoots them into the darkness. Mesmerized, I watch as they fly away like startling comets, only to be disappointed as they phase out of existence. Pretty neat trick, eh? How are you doing this? You don't have any powers. Don't you think I know that all too well, sister dear? Took me a while to figure this out, you know. I'm not all that blessed like you, but I do have my own little tricks. Magic always has an affinity for cursed blood after all. Yes, you could say that is, in a certain path along learning magic. But for goodness sake, Shizeo, would you crack a smile? Wait, you already are. Shizeo traces a cold finger down my cheek. Still half draping over me, I shift, feeling rather uncomfortable, especially with the way Emiri is glaring. Shizeo, whatever it is that you're playing, it's not funny. Aww, but it took me so much time to set this up. Shifting through memories, I try to figure out this out. Both Shizeo and Emiri have confirmed on separate occasions that yes, Shizeo possesses no powers, but how did she pull this off? Because of her exposure to the curse, along with her own desires to have the curse's powers. What have you done to the ritual ground? You know exactly what I've done, Emiri. How else would I be looking like this? The cracked visage. Terrible glowing eyes. Supernatural pocket dimension. Oh gods. Shizeo, you're cursed! Bingo! See, this is why I like you, Flare. You're so smart. You're not supposed to be able to use this power. Not while I'm still alive. But sister dear, we're on the ritual ground. One that has been defiled, I might add. No! What have you done? A little bit of this and that. You might run the town, Emmy, but I run the school. It doesn't take much to get boys to do what you want, you know, especially when the offering is helpless. Is that Emily that's meant to be speaking about this? No. Oh, okay, maybe it's not that. No! Shizeo, what the hell? Oh, hush now. Okay, she's angry now. She doesn't like us when we're like that, but for goodness sakes, crack a smile. Don't interrupt my evil monologue. What is this, a game? Sure it's not. This is a real life. Don't interrupt my evil monologue. I've earned it. Especially when my loyal dog has been doing so well. You mean V5, aka Ember. What are you talking about? I'm talking about Ember, of course. Ember? What does Ember have to do with all of this? Patience now, Flare. All will be answered in due. You two are responsible for all the cases from this year and last year, aren't you? Including the demise of the MC's grandfather. Cases? But that means... Startled and in haste, I slowly shove Shizeo away. She stumbles, moves jerky, a touch of madness in her eyes. Now, that isn't a way to treat a lady, is it? I don't care. You. How could you? Someone has to feed what's inside me. What do you mean? The curse? You took the whole curse. Why? Shizeo rolls her shoulders, smirking. Girls just want to have fun. Bile rises in my throat. Fun? Fun? You. Oh God. You killed people, Shizeo. How is that fun to you? How could you? Unfazed by my accusations, Shizeo waggles a finger vexingly. Hey, don't put the sole blame on me. How could a frail, powerless girl like me do anything alone? The nausea has turned into a frigid ball of spike in my chest. Don't tell me. Ember is. She's not a half hellhound for nothing, you know. This time, even Emiri looks taken aback. Half hellhound? What are you babbling about? Shizeo ignores me in favour of staring Emiri down. Indeed, Emiri dear, sounds familiar. No, that specimen should have been disposed of years ago. But wasn't Emiri? Whoever was in charge sure did a botched job then. Specimen? Ember? Hellhound? What's going on? Turning to me again, Shizeo addresses my terrified confusion with a cruel grin. Long story short, the family was conducting some secret experiments in order to get rid of a curse once and for all. One of those far exceeded Mummy's dearest expectations, whose essence got warped so badly by the curse, she became something else entirely. A perfect vessel, one that wouldn't be subjugated to the curse's perverse powers over time. Yes, because Shizeo in her bad ending route describes the curse's influences as seeping out your life force. So over time, it would drain the person's energy levels, but also their life force. And also, it would turn them insane. Insanity, as it were. I think that is the perfect word to describe the curse in this game. It drives the host to insanity. And one of those is Ember. Correct, of course she isn't a real hellhound, but the mutt thinks she sounds cooler with it. I whirl around to Ember, eyes wide. You know of this. Oh God. Did your family try to kill Ember as a child because she was a failed experiment? I didn't know it was Ember. That doesn't make it any better. You made her an abomination. It takes all my strength not to stumble. Ironically, I think of Shizeo's words. I already got myself into a mess that I shouldn't have poked my nose in. A tangled web of sins. Am I the unfortunate fly that got caught in the middle? Yes. Why did you break my seal then? Look, Emiri, who are you talking to here, you know? You're not talking to some ordinary person. You're talking to Shizeo here. A person that is not binded by rules. She is like a floating cloud. And this cloud at the moment is a terrifying thunderstorm cloud. Didn't I just say I want to have fun, Emiri? Emiri, you're blessed with power since birth. How could you understand the pain of those who are powerless? Fool, the curse's powers come with a price. It feeds on negative emotions and drives mortals to insanity. And I think this is the part where Shizeo describes about her time as an experiment. You think I don't know that? How do you think I'm still alive? That's right. Instead of chipping away at my own soul, which you have already been doing on my ad, I feed it others. Oh God. No. What the hell? What the hell is going on? You know the curse doesn't give you the same powers blessed to our bloodline. You know it would only deteriorate your already poor conditions. You murder people at the curse's behest, going so far as to enlist experiment V5. Yeah, because V5 does the killing, while Shizeo does the more ethereal work. Are you trying to challenge me? Maybe. But if you already knew, why didn't you stop me? Because I pity you. And this changes tone. What did you say? You heard me. Do you really think you could have gone so far without me covering your sloppy tracks? You want to whine some more about how unfairly you were treated as a child? Fine. Want to lash out at others because you are so inept you cannot even fulfill the sole duty given to you? Do it. I have had enough of you. I have tolerated you up until now because you are my sister. I ignored the instances and agreed to cover them up as the town officials asked. But I had my suspicions about you. I will admit, I did not want to believe it at first when I found out. But enough is enough. Your story ends here, Shizeo. There isn't even a word I could describe how I feel right now. I don't even know how I'm still standing. Perhaps shock and terror have turned my legs to stone. Perhaps a part of me is still trying to process what is happening right in front of me. One thing I know for sure though, if Shizeo is a monster, then Emiri is a demon. And they always say that a demon is more dangerous than a monster, especially a psychological demon, because you could be the creature of a demon, but that doesn't mean to say that you are inherently evil. But, and this is a but, when you are a psychological demon, one like the curse, then you are inherently evil. Heh, you call me a liar, and yet you are the biggest liar of all. In shock, I didn't notice how Shizeo's swaying figure has been slowly approaching me again, until she throws her arms around my shoulders from behind. I try to squirm up, but despite her leaf form, Shizeo possesses a suffocating strength that further drives my panic wild. Let go! Let him go, Shizeo. He has nothing to do with any of this. Look, I don't think Shizeo is going to listen to you. Why? But of course he does, Emiri dear. Shizeo produces a dagger hidden from her body. Yikes! Numbered with fear, I suck in her breath as she slowly traces the blade down my chest, cutting my shirt open. You fancy him, don't you, Emiri? I fight back a sliver as Shizeo presses the flat of her dagger against my chest, just when my heart is beating frantically. A fraction of a frown knits Emiri's brows together, but it's enough to draw another sinful giggle from Shizeo. Oh yes, I think you do. Stop this nonsense, Shizeo. Harming him will not be beneficial to you at all. Are you sure? The curse feeds on extreme emotions. Right now his fear would be the most delicious snack I could have. She is right. I'm so scared. I can't think straight. I don't want to die here. But I know if I give in to my instinct, Shizeo would kill me faster than I could blink. The thought itself is nauseous. Never have I thought once of one of my clubmates could be this maniacal serial killer. And then there is Emiri, who in the face of this has remained calm. Too calm. Even for her usual behaviours, Emiri knew all this time about what Shizeo has been doing. Yet she didn't do anything to stop the killings. Then there is Ember. God, I have been played so terribly. The case that we've been looking at, the answer has been under my nose all along. Why is Shizeo doing this? This isn't just because of her rival with her sister, is it? I don't want to die here. I want to stay alive. I cannot die here. I hope I wasn't being foolish. I hope Shizeo isn't too far gone to listen to reason, even though the mere thought of talking to her makes me want to vomit. After all, what else do I have but hope? Shizeo, you don't want to do this, but I do, Flare. I like the feeling of you against me, helpless and afraid. Well, whatever we lick, licks back, I suppose. I don't have any room to moan here, and that's not even the right word to describe this. I flinch as her tongue darts out, licking a cold line up my neck. Emiri is flat out glaring now, her lips pulled down into a nasty scroll. The sight of Emiri losing her cool makes me even more terrified. She was really upset when I brought up the topic of Shizeo during our outing. What have I gotten myself into? Shizeo, do you hate Emiri that much? Everything seems to still. I can clearly hear each of our breaths, the thud of my heart, sealed up in this damned cave. Grr! Just as sudden as the silence, Shizeo turns the blade in her hand around, carving a line down my chest. She cut me. She really did cut me. Shocked, I can only stare as blood flows out, staining my skin. What the hell? You should know when your opinion is not welcomed. Maybe it's the adrenaline, or the fear. I don't know, but I can't stop myself from running my mouth. Stop this. Isn't it too childish? You're taking out on everyone else. Why can't you just be honest with Emiri for once? Shizeo stills again. Her breaths are cold against my burning skin. She hasn't dropped the blade yet. Emiri, you're so scary. Even someone so new like him, you managed to charm. Hey Flare, do you know a little hatred is good for someone like Emiri? She isn't the one who killed all those people. Oh, maybe she isn't directly involved, but don't you think she should have taken some responsibility? After all, Is it that what Emiri loves the most? Responsibility. Isn't it because she didn't want to confront you? Isn't it all because of you? Flare, stop talking. Behind me, Shizeo's laughter is as sharp as the blade she holds. Are you suggesting that she cares? Please. You're looking at someone who doesn't interfere as all kinds of grotesque experiments were performed on her sister's body. Someone who's content to life as she drains the life force out of her own sister. And you dare suggest that she cares? I can feel it as she turns the blade around. Shizeo. I jerk my arm back instinctively. My elbow hits something soft. A grunt escaped Shizeo, but it was too late to stop her momentum. And there we go. Yeah, I knew this was going to be a bad end. There was just something about the aura of this particular scenario that's just going to drive us to a bad end. The pain is searing. My entire body squazzes. Stumbling backward, Shizeo finally lets go of me. I surge forward onto my knees. My vision blurs as my hands are quickly filled with crimson blood. My blood. Out of the corner of my eyes, I see a flash of light. I hear a collision. A sickening sound of flesh being pierced and the scent of boiling blood fills my nostrils. Nauseated, I topple to the floor, still clutching Shizeo's dagger protruding from my stomach. Losing control. My head rolls to the side. My eyes meet Shizeo's. Yikes. A manic grin spreads across her lips and the skin of her neck blackens around a gaping hole in her chest. Well, isn't that just great? Heh. Heh. The light leaves her eyes. With a last whisper of laughter, tearing up, I can hear footsteps approaching. Emiri stands above both of us, peering down at me. Please, Emiri. She steps over me, sitting herself astride my hips, hands cold as ice, as Shizeo's trails down my bleeding chest. Please, I don't want to die. It's okay. It's fine this way. This way, nobody has to know. Please. Well, if that's not a bad end, then I don't know what is. Well, in that case, both of us die, and then Emiri gets to live. But how would she cover up this track? Well, it was in the perfect secluded spot, so that would be that. Okay, folks. Now, it's time for Ember's route. Ask. Agree. Wow, this is so good. The top one just ends the conversation altogether. Ember. What about the research? Do you need some documents? Very unnerving indeed. Yeah, the top one is like, well, that is how I feel, so I don't care about what you think, MC. So, what kind of inconvenience? Why the students? That's more of a concern rather than just the club itself. It's the students that matter. We trust you, Ember. And we certainly are friends. Sorry about drawing attention myself, I just simply can't help it. Stay with Ember. Let's discuss Ember, shall we? Siding with Ember. Already been through this ordeal, even though this is new to the full game. Talk about school rather than continue talking about the Onishi. Ember just does not like Onishis in general. So anything to direct the conversation away. After our unsettling meeting, I have some reservations upon receiving Ember's group text for a joint investigation. On our holiday Friday, there are many other things I'd rather do than diving back into the cases, especially after such a terrible beginning of the week. Still, I'm the one who's indecisive about remaining in a club or not, so I have to bite the bullet. It's understandable that when everyone shows up, Emiri appears to be missing. doing her duties, I imagine. Emiri is held up by some prior arrangements. Whatever. Ember strongly dislikes Emiri. Despite looking obviously irked, Ember sucks in a long breath, scoring her expression to neutral. The four of us huddle outside a modern apartment building. Its new windows and metallic frames sparkling under the sun. This must be one of the newer developments in town. Just a few streets southwest of the shopping mall, there's a huge construction site just across the road, rumbling with machines. I wonder why Ember chose to bring us here. Not gonna beat around the bush, this is where they found 2 victims. That definitely eeks Chiharu, if I must say so myself. There is one thing I would like to say though, and it is quite a disappointing thing, is that throughout one end, and here as well, I feel like Chiharu as a character is still the least developed. This was a conversation that was irked up during feedback for the one end, and it's still a problem in the full game. Like, Chiharu as a character, she's like the safe option when it comes to all the characters because the MC knows Chiharu. But as a player, we hardly know anything about Chiharu. We know that she has 2 parents who are usually away. We've never had mention about her father, but has her mother around. We've seen her twice in the game, both when we was at Chiharu's mansion. Well then. But yeah, Chiharu as a character is an enigma. According to my research, this building is under gang control. By research, you meant snooping around, right? No, I was mistaken. It was the MC's mother that was at the hospital, not Chiharu's mother. I don't know why I thought of that. Shut up! The bodies found inside were both from Komachi High. However, one was first announced as missing and was announced dead much later than the true time of death. Hearing this, all of us stand a bit straighter, except for Chiharu is completely frightened again, cowering next to Ember. Something akin to confusion skirts over Shizeo's expressions as she looks up the building, squinting. Perhaps it was because of the tension from our last meeting. Perhaps it was the shock over this year's first victim still fresh in my mind. But I burst out before I could stop myself. Were they former club members? All eyes turned to me. Ember's hands curl into fists. Dryly I swallow. Hopefully that Ember won't lose her cool over this. One was. Something seems familiar about this place. I've been here before, I think. You run around all the time though, and this place is exactly you know. Not far from the mall either. Yeah, that must be it. Shizeo doesn't sound wholly convinced, but she's more than willing to drop the subject. Both victims here were ruled as suicides. However, first on scene for the student case was another former club member. Chiharu? The witness said the crime scene was like a wild beast was unleashed in the apartment. Blood everywhere, furniture torn apart, doors broken down, belongings shredded and thrown everywhere. That kind of jazz. Whoever committed the crime must have terribly resented the victim to do such a thing. That, or it's some sort of warning. That's what I thought. Gosh, goodness sakes, Flare, would you just read the words? Police public statements and reports go none of that. Got none of that. The witness, our former club member, tried to talk to people at school about the truth, but... Ember's fists clenched again, her fangs bearing with how hard she's gritting her teeth. She was bullied for it, people calling her crazy and everything. That's so terrible. Yeah, and she ended up a victim herself. Shizumi Katsuki. Ooh. Oh dear, even Shizeo is a bit terrified. Even though you know damn well what happened, Shizeo. Instinctively, Chihiro reaches out and grabs my arm. Her entire body shaking. I can't blame her. I'm pretty scared as well. The more we know about these cases, the worse they sound. Thoughts about quitting the surface once more. So what are we doing here? Do you want to show us the crime scene or something? More or less. Things have been cleaned up ages ago, but knowing the building layout and how culprits could commit such acts without being caught can help us. I'm good. Maybe I can wait for you guys out here. Now, Chihiro. Didn't you hear, Ember? This area's gang territory. What if someone scary comes here while we're inside and snatch you right up? Oh dear. Yeah, and now she huddles towards Ember. Ah! Scared out of her wits. Chihiro is now gripping tightly on both me and Ember. Blushing, Ember reaches out an awkward hand and pats Chihiro's head. It's okay. I don't want to be alone. It's okay, Chihiro. There's 4 of us. We should be fine. Seeing how freaked out Chihiro is, even Shizeo isn't too keen on teasing her anymore. It's okay. It's just going to be a quick peek, right? Yeah. So, with much whimpering on Chihiro's part, we cautiously enter the building. And we're going to be encountered by a rather angry guard again, aren't we? It was normal, if not quite a bit empty. The interior was rather industrial and minimalistic, a far cry from the rest of the town. It's not luxurious like the complexes I've seen in the city, but definitely not on the shabby side. We didn't linger at the reception area too long, since a burly security man behind the counter keeps giving us the stink eye. Confidently, Ember leads us up to the 4th floor. Chihiro was wheezing a bit after the last few stairs. The first victim was discovered here. Oh dear. Chihiro immediately goes to hide behind me and Ember. On the contrary, Shizeo steps towards the door Ember is pointing at. Pretty sure it's occupied now. I can hear very loud TV noises from the inside. It's not like we can check the insides anyway. It must all be scrubbed clean by now. Yeah. What are we supposed to do then? Without prompting, I look around the corner. It's the same as the reception area. Clean. No decor. Standard. What on earth is standard around this game anyways? Everything is so warped in a way. But there are cameras at the corners of the walls. With those angles, they should be able to monitor anyone coming and going. Were the cameras here before, Ember? Yeah, the building is pretty tightly secured. That's why it'd be difficult for a culprit to pop in and out after committing a crime, especially after the first incident. Well, we just basically waltzed in, no issues. Yeah, but apparently, according to the witness, the front door was tampered with. Something jolts deep in the pit of my stomach. My eyes automatically dart to Chihiro, unable to stop my mind from going back to that horrifying night. Yeah, because the storage room's door was tampered with too. Squeezing my eyes shut, I shake my head once, then turn to Ember and Shizeo, who are now stalking towards the window at the end of the corridor to look down. I mean, the fire escape looks pretty unguarded to me. No surveillance on that front. Don't think so. The 3 of us look down to the alleyway at the back of the building. The fire escape built outside is part ladder, part stairs, metallic, and steep. Had got to be a monster to climb all the way up here, not make a sound and then climb down after all that commotion. Ember shrugs, but her shoulders stiffen along with her face. That's why I said the gang is involved. It had to be an inside job. You're always convincing us that it is a gang-related issue, aren't you, Ember? What could some high schoolers possibly do to the mobs to get murdered like that, though? Could be anything. From something petty to something big. Maybe they were members of the gangs themselves. Both I and Shizeo look at Ember in surprise. What? You think those 2 were gang members? That's a bit much. And the other victim was a club member as well. Under our stares, Ember is all flustered. However, before she could retort, Shiharo's shaky voice sounds behind us. Guys, I think. Hey, what are you kids doing here? Rounding the corner, the security guy from reception yells at us. Me, Chihara, and Shizeo immediately withered, while Ember puffs up. Visiting a friend. What's it to you? Realization dawns upon the man's face. You again? What did I tell you last time I caught you sneaking around? Scramble, God, that's a threat from a security guard. Eek, yeah. We're going. Sorry. Before the situation could escalate further, Shizeo, with one hand around Ember's wrist and the other around Shizeo's arm, forcibly drags both away with the fuming man. I hastily trail behind, pushing Ember forward when she tries to turn around. Yeeks. Together we stumble out of the building. Ember seems indigent and Chihara is still trembling from head to toe. Shizeo and I exchange a look. Well, that was exciting. Ugh. Scary guy. He's an ass. Well, I mean, he's just doing his job. Yeah. How do you think the building has gained territory? Yeah, how do you know, Shizeo? I mean, Ember. Yeah. Sensing the incoming storm, Shizeo waves her hands apologetically. I'm just asking out of curiosity. I found out about it by coincidence. Yeah, the long pause there is a excuse building. I saw the gang's leader entering the building with his subordinates. I was curious, so I decided to put the building under surveillance. They've been operating out of here, and I saw a few town officials coming and going as well. Wait. Let's go to the other location. More murder scenes? Yes. Let's go! Shizeo is excited! Oh dear, Chiharu. I don't know what to do as well either. Our next stop is another apartment complex. This one near the hospital. Another 2 bodies were found in there. Unfortunately, there was no witness testimony, and all 3 of them were former club members. We didn't get to go inside as there was a buzzer system. Chihara is visibly thankful for that. The last crime scene, however, brings us to a different scenario. The last body was found in this park's pond. Yikes. That's a different MO, no? Yeah, it was the other facility member, Mrs. Saya Okani. Did we go past the crime scene? On our investigation, did we run past the crime scene? Actually, no, it's a pretty secluded spot. You have to go through the trees on the other side of a lake, and the body was found stuck under the water lilies, so... Under the water lilies? We didn't go around the lake. I'm confused as to why Ember didn't tell me about this. However, but I don't want to provoke her. She still seems a bit riled up, so it would be best to let it slide for now. So a drowning case? Yeah, there are reports about the corpse all tangled up underwater, because, you know, morning joggers found it her I mean, but nobody really thought about it much. If it was a self-inflicted case, then the shallow water shouldn't be sufficient enough to drown herself. People drown in baths, though, and that's not a hugely uncommon thing. Could the water current have pushed the body down? It's a lake. I mean, even if the wind was super strong that day, it couldn't have pushed someone from the deeper part of the lake to the shore and under all the growth. That makes sense. The corpse was found... no. Found with a broken neck, which was allegedly the same condition with the other found bodies. Yeah. But you said the witness said the body found in the first complex was... mangled. Yes. Things don't seem to add up, do they? They sure don't. A broken neck on a drowned victim. A broken neck on someone who was mauled to death. A broken neck on... Jasmine. So nobody came forward about the corpse's condition when it was found? None. That's pretty suspicious. Do we know who found the body? Ember shakes her head. As usual, everything was brief in the news. No name other than Oconi's. And you still think it's the gang? This area isn't gang controlled, but it's a possibility, yes. It's a different MO after all. And I heard Mrs. Ocony was not all that popular. But isn't it a bit much to hurt someone because of some rumours? Shizeo makes a somewhat displeased noise. Well, so I decided to do some further digging into our victims' pasts. No much came up from the others, but Ocony has quite a bit of history on her past. Really? Yeah, the rumours aren't just, well, rumours. She really did all those things behind people's backs. Apparently, she also had an affair with the headmaster, which was a pretty huge scandal a few years back since she was just a university student back then. Ugh. It was a massive deal when she came to work at Komachi High. It's nothing crazy publicised, because the headmaster covered most of it up. The headmaster divorced his wife for Ocony, but she went and married someone out of the blue, and divorced within like 3 months? Holy crap. You're pretty thorough, aren't you? Shizeo makes a finger gun motion at Ember, winking. Of course, Shizeo is like that. But that's a lot! Yep. There were theories that Mrs. Ocony's death was a crime of passion. How is death a crime of passion? Let's just say that. But there's no evidence pointing it at anyone indeed. Or rather, nobody came forward and news basically just snuffed the whole ordeal. Another dead end. Yeah. Chestfallen, we go to the mall for a quick lunch, before Ember brings us to another site. This time, it's towards the shrine. Ember? Just wait. Instead of going to the shrine, however, she picks an off-trail that leads into the forest. What are we doing here? It's part of the investigation.
Oh?
What do you mean? Ember heaves out a sigh. All 4 of us have stopped in a small clearing in the forest. All remaining missing cases are reportedly seen around this area. The eek noises. But they do fit the dialogue. This close to the shrine, huh? Instinctively, I turn westward, where I can just make out a bright crimson roof among the trees. Well, there are wild animals in the mountains. Since the area of the back of the mountains, across the river, is practically an overgrowth. A lot of adventurous people would drive down from the cities and explore the place. It's a bit inconvenient, but it does bring a lot of donations to the shrine every tourist season. Donations, huh? Maybe those people really went missing. Except the missing people aren't from out of town. There were search parties throughout the woods, but every one of them came back empty-handed. This didn't help decrease the superstitious rumours spread by the occult club. It makes sense. The shrine is right there, so it wouldn't be difficult to link the happenings together. Chiharu aims an apologetic look at Shizeo. Sorry, I can see that. With a myth about a demon being sealed underneath the mountains, it'd be hard to speculate things. High schoolers' imaginations can run wild, and any rumours can run wild without much prompting. Shizeo, as expected, doesn't seem all that offended. It's no big deal. I mean, it's not the craziest thing to have ever been spoken behind our backs, though. In other words, Shizeo just doesn't care about this ordeal. She pouts. Her lower lip juts forward as she taps her chin, seemingly deep in thoughts. Suddenly, Shizeo turns to Ember, snapping her fingers. I remember now. The rumours about victims being lured by a ghost into the forest. Those were started by the occult club last year, weren't they? Well, ghost? This supernatural tale, Emiri, has no ghosts. Well, except for Emiri. For Chiharu, for goodness sakes, why did I say Emiri? Probably because I thought of her as a ghost. Emily wasn't happy with the rumours. I remember she had an explosive fight with the facility about it. She demanded them to be squashed. What? So it was Emily who tried to shut the club down. I wouldn't say she tried to shut the club down. She didn't know it was the club, because by that point, rumours had spread like wildfire already, and Emily doesn't have patience to deal with petty things like that, so she went to the facility. No wonder. What happened? Ember shrugs. Club almost got shut down because of that. Former president decided to have a protest. All of us got bullied by other people after. Yikes. But that's terrible. Oh. Sorry, I didn't realise that's what happened. Whatever. That must have been difficult, watching the club be torn down like that, from one hardship to another, especially when some of them must have been victims by that point. Definitely wasn't easy on one's psyche. I'm sorry to hear that. Nobody deserves that kind of treatment. To my surprise, Ember looks somewhat conflicted, but she doesn't say anything. Nah, we shouldn't awaken a volcano, so let's just stay quiet. Feeling like it would be uncomfortable to everyone if I pushed the matter, I kept my mouth shut. Sorry, I'm a bit... I don't know. I just know at that point Emmy was not having it. But thanks to the rumours, someone actually tried to break into the shrines in a sanctum. That's a bit overboard. Do you remember who that person was? Not really. I'm not the one who normally deals with this kind of stuff. Emiri was. We shuffled around for a bit before deciding to descend to the mountain. There isn't much else to do, and the other things that were discussed today weigh heavily on our minds. Saying our goodbyes, we split ways, heading off home with much to think about. With Chiharu taking the bus, Ember and I waved goodbye to Shizeo before starting our walk home. As we stroll down the streets in silence, my mind starts to drift. Ask about the previous members. Ember's conflicted look comes back to me as my mind wanders. It didn't feel right to press her too much while the others were around. I didn't want Ember to lose her cool in front of Chiharu. I didn't want to risk Shizeo saying something thoughtless out of the blue, like she often does. Now seems like the perfect time to ask, with just the two of us. Still, I choose my words carefully. So, Ember, about the former club members. Emma startles out of her own reverie, staring at me with wide eyes. Oh. She looks away. The same mixed feelings swirl in her odd-coloured eyes again. Honestly, I don't know what to say to you. It's okay. You don't have to. She chews on her lower lip, brows frowned, something akin to anxiety crosses her face, and Emma looks away. Nah, you're here. You're still here. You deserve to know. Ember shakes her head. At first, we were a strong united front, but towards the end, the club fragmented. Because of the rumours, or the cases. Both more or less. The first case, it was a shock. Surprisingly or morbidly enough, it brought us together. We were all very, very invested, and we just wanted to bring light to the truth. Light to the truth. Mika was one of us, you know. But then everything derailed. I was about to say deteriorated. Even my best friend, Amy, decided to turn against me. Oh no. Ember looks away. Yeah, whatever. What's done is done. Predictably, the conversation sinks. We part ways at the next intersection, biting my lower lips. I go through everything that's been uncovered today. Still, I can't shake the feeling that we have barely scratched the surface of what was happening. Yeah, ask if Ember's okay. No, we're not going to tell her about that incident, even though indirectly she is involved. Indirectly because she didn't choose by her own will to be involved, but she was involved. Backstreets? Definitely looks backstreet because of the graffiti there. One of the few things that I've found myself doing when I have the time is wandering around Komachi. Despite my initial impression, Komachi has changed quite a lot since my family moved away all those years ago. New developments have been taking up the edge of town, with taller apartment complex and what seem to be decently sized but luxurious villas. There are even a few taller office buildings. Nothing compared to the city, of course, but definitely more modern than the area around town centre. Today I found myself by a new bridge built for the rails. The streets here seem less maintained compared to the rest of the town. Ah! Get lost. Wait, what was that? That sounded like Ember. Next time it won't be just a few bruises, blank. Uh-oh. Yeah, I should get away from here before... Look who's running away now, blanks! Wait, was that? That is definitely Ember. Carefully, I peer over the corner. To my shock, I see Ember sitting crumpled up on the road, bruised and scuffled up, but still spitting in anger at the back of the retreating group. What the hell has she got herself into? Against better judgment, I run towards Ember. Ember? What the hell? Flare, what are you doing here? I was about to ask the same thing. Are you okay? What happened? None of your concern. Seriously? It's my concern when my friend looks like she's just gone through a brawl. Really? It's a bit difficult to inspect her when Ember is being so uncooperative. She doesn't look all that hurt though, but definitely in shambles, with torn clothes and plenty of scratches and bruises. We need to get you to the hospital. What? I'm fine, what are you doing? She pulls back forcefully when I try to get her to her feet. What does it look like? I'm trying to get you some help. I don't need help. It was just some stupid thugs. I'm fine. Let go. Not until you go to the hospital with me. You're being for real? Yes. We are being for real. And speaking of being for real, we're going to be coming back to the next time where we will be pursuing more of Ember's route. Have a wonderful day, folks, and see you all in the next time of Missing Time. Have an absolutely wonderful day and take care of yourselves.